Jerome Powell just admitted on camera that tariffs are working. And the Fed was completely wrong about inflation. Now, the mainstream media is in total meltdown mode over this. And here's what nobody's really talking about. Powell accidentally revealed 3 other things that prove the entire economic narrative of this year, 2025, was a coordinated lie, including a $400 billion secret that they never wanted you to know. Now look, I've been analyzing Fed policy for 2 decades. I'm a partner at a Bitcoin venture fund. I run my own publicly traded treasury company, and what Powell just exposed changes everything about how you should position your portfolio right now. So let me show you the smoking gun evidence and the one asset class that's about to explode because of it. So let's go. Now, remember what they told you, the mainstream media? They swore that tariffs were going to crash the economy, right? Wall Street promised us that hyperinflation was going to come. Every economist on TV said, you're going to pay more at checkout, right? They were screaming about recession, depression, financial Armageddon. But what actually happened? Well, right now, the S&P 500 is up 15% this year. Stocks are at an all-time high. Even Mark Spitznagel, he's the guy who literally bets billions on market crashes, he just turned bullish. Now, inflation, it actually went down while tariffs were in place. Now, look, I've been telling you this all year. Let me just play you a clip real quick from my video titled The Tariff Lie. Let's check it out.
They say tariffs are the worst economic policies ever, and for lots of reasons. But what if that's the biggest lie in modern economics? They told you tariffs are just a tax on you. They say they start trade wars. They say that making stuff in America means that you're going to pay 10 times more. But what if none of that's true? Because if they're wrong, we've built our economy on a myth. We've handed our power to countries that don't play fair. Now, I've spent years studying this and talking about this and speaking around the world about history, cycles, and what actually works. And in this video, I'm going myth by myth to show you what they don't want you to see. So let's go. All right, we're going to jump right through this, go through the biggest myths that you've heard. Now, why are they myths and why are they not real? Well, the main reason why is these myths are being pushed by academics. They're being pushed by theories that sound really good on paper, but they're not in the real world. Now, as somebody who's built multiple businesses and had multiple exits, I've learned the real world. And when I break these down to you, it's going to make perfect sense. And I just want to let you know that, again, in theory, it sounds good, but the real world is much more complex. Anyway, let's jump right in. The consumer price myth. So you've been told, mainstream media is telling you that if the U.S. puts tariffs in place, then you, the consumer, will pay more. And they say it's basically a hidden tax. It's like increasing taxes. So Trump says he's going to lower taxes, but tariffs, now that's a hidden tax, okay? Number one. Again, the consumer is the one that's going to pay this. They're going to pay more. And they tell us that because you're going to have to pay more for prices, for goods and services, then that's also going to cause inflation. Prices will be going up.
You see? I told you so. And now Powell's confirming exactly what I said, right? Companies are eating the costs, not you. I mean, even in April, when everyone was losing their minds about Liberation Day, I tweeted that stocks and Bitcoin were going to hit a new all-time high this year, before the year's end. Now, back then, people thought I was kind of crazy, but yet here we are. Everything's at or near all-time highs. Now, while everyone else was fear-mongering, right, we were positioning. Now, the Fed chairman, he just proved us right. Okay, so let's break down what's really happening here. Now, like I said, the Fed just admitted that they got it completely wrong. Now, again, this isn't just about tariffs. It's about what's actually causing inflation, right? And it's actually what they don't want you to see. And let's hear this directly from Jerome Powell himself. Let's go ahead and play this clip.
Federal government collecting a good chunk of revenue, $300 or $400 billion a year pace. And the question is, who's paying that? And the candidates for paying those tariffs would be the exporter, the foreign exporter, or someone on our shores. It could be a company or a retailer, or someone who's using the imported product to manufacture something, or the end consumer. And so so far, in its incredibly early days, it doesn't look like the overseas exporters are carrying the bulk of it. It looks like it's that middle group. It's retailers and it's importers, and they're not passing along to consumers that much of the cost. So the actual effects on inflation have been quite modest so far.
There you have it. The Fed chairman is admitting right there that companies are absorbing the costs, right? Not you. But look, while they were blaming tariffs for inflation, that never came. Over here, the M2 money supply, it just hit an all-time high. It hit $22.2 trillion. That's the real inflation. Because of that, gold's up 40% this year. The best performance since 1979. Not because of tariffs, because they're printing money like crazy. And here's the crazy part. With unemployment historically low, with stock markets at all-time highs, the Fed's actually cutting rates again right now. Think about that. They're throwing gas on the fire while telling you that there's no fire. Let's break down exactly how this tariff mechanism actually works. Because once you see it, you'll understand why Powell had to admit the truth. All right, now it's one thing to see the lies and understand how the Fed is using tariffs as a smokescreen for the real inflation being caused by their money printer. But it's another thing entirely to know exactly how to protect yourself and how to profit from this. Now, while they're busy debasing the dollar and stealing your purchasing power, the wealthy are playing a completely different game. Now, they're not just buying assets. They have a system to multiply their wealth faster than the government can actually print the money. And they use strategies to make $1 do the work of 3 or 5 legally. And they slash their tax bills to almost zero. And they turn that saved tax money into cash flowing assets. But the strategies that they're using, they're not that hard once you understand them. And so next week, what I want to do is I'm going to go live. I'm going to break all this down and you can come hang out. I'm going to answer all your questions live to make sure that you get it and you can apply it to your exact situation. So check out the link in the description down below. There's a QR code here on the screen and just come hang out, right? Learn the 3 secrets that the 1% use to build their wealth 300 or 500% faster. Now, if you want the blueprint, I'll put a link down below. Just click on the link in the description. It's completely free. Click on the link, reserve your spot. And now let me show you the real inflation story that they don't want you to see. Okay, so what Powell was saying in that video is that tariffs only added about 0.3 to 0.4 to inflation. That's it. Out of 2.9 core PCE inflation, maybe 0.4 is from tariffs. But the rest, where is that from? That's from the money printer going burr. Let me break down how this actually works because the mainstream media, they're not going to tell you this. All right, there's 3 parties in every tariff transaction, right? You've got the exporter, that's China, whoever's making the stuff. You've got the importer, that's, Walmart, I guess, and they're bringing it in. And then you've got, you and I, the consumer, right? That's us. Now, the media wants us to believe that you and I, us the consumers, are going to pay all the tariffs. It's like a tax, right? But that's the lie. Let me show you what I explained back in my video called The Tariff Lie. Let's go ahead and play that clip.
Is that tariffs equal isolation. Tariffs are anti-trade. Tariffs are anti-globalism. That means that you don't want to participate in the world and you want to be an island. Well, maybe, maybe not. Again, maybe that's oversimplified. Tools, trade, or tariffs, protectionism, are greater than building up walls. So it's not about walls, it's about tools and strategically using tools. So countries want to use these tools because it's how you adapt, it's how you can grow. And so these tools, tariffs, walls, are a tool that can be used to buy time. This is what America did. This is exactly how America grew. When America broke off from Europe, Europe was much more advanced. Europe could make everything faster and cheaper, right? So the U.S. had to put tariffs in place to protect the economy so it could grow to then outpacing the European economy, right? That's what happened. But it needed to buy itself time, and so those protections did that. Now, also, you want to use them strategically. Again, theory is just dumb and it's vague. Specifically, we want to use strategic uses. So, for example, it doesn't make any sense to be the best fruit producer when fruit grows in a different part of the world. Like, let them grow the fruit. We'll bring the fruit over here. We don't really grow good fruit here, right? But we have these minerals on the ground they don't have, so let's get these minerals over there. So definitely it's strategic as well. Remember, these are very dynamic, very complex issues.
See, I explained it right there. Walmart pushes it back down to China. China pushes it back down their supply chain. Everybody gets squeezed except you and I, the consumer. Why? Why is that? Well, it's simple business 101. If Walmart could raise prices 20%, they already would have done that. But they can't, right? The consumer's already stretched thin. As a matter of fact, Scott Bessent, he's the U.S. Treasury Secretary, he said it best when he was on Tucker Carlson. Let's just hear it directly from him.
If tariffs are so bad, why do they have them?
Great question.
Why do they have them, right? Or if the American consumer is going to pay all the tariff, then why do they care about tariff?
Right.
Because they're going to eat them.
I love that line. If you and I were going to pay the tariff, then why are the other countries freaking out so much, right? And of course, we have the proof now. About a year into these tariffs, we're now seeing $400 billion a year coming in, right? That's real money coming into the U.S. Treasury. But inflation, it's basically nothing, right? And like I said, Powell just admitted it. Now compare that to what they were telling you 6 months ago or 9 months ago. Remember, every economist on CNBC said that tariffs equal inflation. It's a tax on consumers. Prices are going to skyrocket. We're going to have 1970s stagflation all over again. But of course, it's not been true. Or rather, was it just misdirection? Like magic, right? Like, look over here while they cause inflation over here. Because there is real inflation being caused. But of course, they don't want you to see it. They don't want you to understand it, right? The U.S. government is running $2 trillion deficits every year, which means the borrowing, or as we call it, the money printing, is continuing to make new all-time highs. Right? We have the U.S. debt clock rushing to add about $1 trillion every 90 days or less. But it can't be because of the money printing, right? It's got to be the 0.3% from the tariffs, right? And rather than looking at the government's CPI, Consumer Price Index, or as I call it, CPI, I like to look at an index called true inflation. It's the real metric that strips out all the BS, right? It shows inflation dropped from over 3% to 2.05% just this year, while tariffs were in place. The thing they said would cause inflation actually happened during inflation. Now think about this. Reagan put massive tariffs in place in the 1980s. Did we get hyperinflation? No. We got the strongest economic boom in modern history with the same playbook, but just a different decade. So the real reason the Fed's cutting rates right now with stocks at an all-time high, with unemployment at record lows, is because they know if they don't get the rates down right now, the interest on the debt would be unpayable. And that would send the government into a debt doom loop. So the real inflation, it's not tariffs. It's coming from the Fed. It's coming from the ECB. It's coming from the BOJ. All of them are racing to debase their currencies, and they're using tariffs as the scapegoat. Okay, so now that we know that it's not coming from tariffs, it's coming from the Fed's printing, we know that they have to keep printing or they're going to face a debt doom loop, and we know they're going to keep printing, then the question is, where does all this money go, right? Because it has to go somewhere. Now, I'm going to tell you exactly where I think it's going to go. Now, first, you have to understand the setup, right? We've got $22.2 trillion in M2, right? Now, again, the Fed's cutting rates, again, right now with markets at all-time highs, right? They just admitted tariffs aren't inflationary, which gives them cover to print even more. And what almost nobody's connecting is that all this printed money is about to collide with the biggest infrastructure build-out in history. I'm talking about AI data centers, right? Every big tech company, Microsoft, Google, Amazon, Meta, they're all racing to build. We're talking hundreds of billions in CapEx. And what do AI data centers need? Well, a lot of things, including massive amounts of copper for wiring. They need lithium for battery backup systems. They need silver for electronics. So think about this. One AI data center uses as much copper as 40,000 homes. Microsoft's restarting 3 Mile Island just for power. Google's building their own nuclear reactors. Now, this isn't some future prediction. This is all happening right now. So you've got unlimited money printing, meeting limited commodity supply. So what happens to prices? Well, elementary 101, supply and demand, right? Prices explode. We can already see copper's already breaking out. Lithium's making another breakout, right? We see gold, like I said, it's up 40%, making new all-time highs. Bitcoin's, of course, the fastest horse in the race. And here's why. Every commodity has supply responses, different sensitivity, right? Gold prices go up, they mine more gold. Copper spikes, they open new mines. But Bitcoin has a fixed supply, right? There's 21 million coins. There will never be any more, ever. No matter how much money they print, no matter how high the prices go, you can't make more Bitcoin. And with U.S. strategic Bitcoin reserve coming, corporate treasuries are buying, nation states are accumulating, and we're watching the fastest horse meet the biggest wall of money in history. So all the doomers that they've been calling for the market crash coming for, the past 12 years, they're all going to have to wait a little bit longer. All right? Look, Powell told us, right? He told us the truth. Tariffs aren't causing inflation. They never will. Right? The Fed's been lying or misrepresenting to us at best, if you want to call it that, right? They're going to print trillions of dollars and give it to the banker friends. But the thing is, You can either get angry about it or you can get rich from it, right? Because once you understand the game, then you can play it too. The Fed's going to keep printing. They have to. The debt's unpayable. It won't ever be paid back. The system's going to require it. And all that printed money, it's going to go straight into hard assets, commodities, Bitcoin, anything AI infrastructure touches, right? I think this is the trade of the decade. Not because I'm telling you, but because Powell just admitted it, right? The money printer is the only thing that matters at this point, and it's not stopping. So stop listening to the economists on TV that are, I don't know, still crying about tariffs. Stop waiting for the crash. That's not coming. The Fed just showed us their cards. And the only question is, are you going to play your hand or are you going to fold? All right, so now you see their cards, right? The money printer isn't stopping. And all that liquidity, it has to flow into hard assets. You understand the what and the why. But the most important question now is, what are you going to do about it? Because while they're busy debasing the dollar and stealing your purchasing power, the wealthy, again, they're playing a completely different game, right? They're not just buying assets. They have a system to multiply their wealth faster than the government can print the money. And the strategies are not that hard once you understand them. So next week, I'm going to go live. I'm going to break it all down. We're going to hang out. I'm going to answer all your questions live to make sure that you get it and you can apply it. Now, in this training, we're going to look at the 3 secrets that the 1% use to build wealth 300 to 500% faster. It's not what you think. I'm going to show you how they use these strategies to make $1 do the work of 2, 3, or 5. And you'll see how they legally slash their tax bills to almost zero. Now you get the blueprint to protect yourself and actually profit from the money printing. Again, this isn't theory. This is the exact playbook for how to win in this economy. You'll have the knowledge from this video, but now it's time to get the action plan. So check out the link in the description down below. There's a QR code here on the screen. Come hang out. It's completely free, so just register right now. Click on the link, reserve your spot, and let's build your financial future. And speaking of what's coming, if you want to know the much bigger game being played to restructure the entire global economy, you should watch this video right here. And I'll see you over there.